Hey guys, I'm Joleena Lewis, and today I'm going to talk about 6 things that you need to do once your divorce is finalized. So, picture it. Today's the day. You finally have that signed judgment of divorce in your hand. What do you need to do next? So, I'm going to give you a few tips that will set you on the right path to make sure that you're doing everything you need to do to start your new life. The first thing you're going to want to do is to take a look at that judgment of divorce. Make sure it's correct. If you entered an agreement, make sure all the information is correct, and make sure that you are fully familiar with and you fully understand your obligations under the judgment. So this is a court order. This is something that you have to comply with. If you do not comply with it, it will be a contempt of court, and that can result in jail time. That can be result in the loss of custody. It can really give you a lot of problems down the road if you do not comply with this order. So make sure you read it, make sure you understand it, and make sure you are taking all the necessary steps that you need to take to ensure you are complying with it. So complying with the judgment of the divorce can include, making sure that you obtain your own health insurance, or making sure the qualified domestic relations order is entered and implemented, making sure that you're paying any child support or maintenance as ordered, and any other actions required by the judge. So this is step one. Before you do anything, as soon as you get that judgment, you want to make sure that you read it and you understand it and you're able to fully comply with it. The next thing you're going to want to do is to update your address with the appropriate agencies. So a lot of times you might have been the party that moved out of the marital residence. This could have happened before the divorce. Certainly, in most cases, it occurs by the time the judgment is received. So you just want to make sure that your credit card company, your bank, your job, insurance companies, the post office, make sure you put in that to make sure that your address is changed everywhere and your contact information is updated. Again, you're not married anymore. This is not your spouse anymore. You don't want them getting your mail or any important information. So just make sure that you remember to take that extra step and make sure everything is forwarded to your new address. What you might want to do is to make sure that you are removed from any loans or debts that are no longer your responsibility. Again, this will depend on the terms of your divorce. You want to make sure that the debtor remove your name from any loans or any credit cards. Even if the judgment of divorce states that your ex is responsible for that debt, it's very, very possible that the debtor is not going to remove that name, and they're still going to hold you responsible if it's not paid. So see what you can do to either remove yourself or make sure that you're keeping track and making sure your spouse is paying that off, because if that's not and it's violating the order, you might have to come back and get that provision enforced, because if you signed onto the loan, they don't necessarily have to remove your name from it just because that's what's in the divorce. So make sure that you're on top of that and you're trying to separate yourself from that as much as possible, in whatever way that you can. Another thing that you're going to want to do is start the name change process. If you are divorcing and you took on your spouse's name and you want to go back to your maiden name, you want to start that process as early as possible. Usually you have to wait until you get the judgment of divorce before you can start the name change process. So it can be very time consuming and kind of annoying, and reaching out to all these different agencies. You want to get your driver's license change, your social security card change. You want to change it at the DMV. You want to change it at your bank and with all your credit card providers and with HR at work. So again, you can hire a lawyer to help you with this name change process. There's lots of checklists and things online that you can do to help you with the process, but just make sure that you have everything in place, you have everything you need, so as soon as you get the judgment, you can just go and get that process started. Another thing that you want to do is to make sure that everything that you have is in your name only. So again, this is something that you probably should have done during the divorce, but maybe you want to go back and double check to make sure that All your bank accounts are in your name only. Any joint accounts are closed unless that's part of the order. I don't get a lot of people who continue to do that. Some people keep a joint account during the divorce so that, for child support purposes, it's easier just to put the money in the joint account or to pay the mortgage or something like that. But once the divorce is finalized, everything should be separate at that point. So just double check everything and make sure that your accounts are in your name only, that your spouse is not on any of your utilities, or anything in their possession is not in your name, because you don't want to be responsible for anything that they have, be it, a car or anything like that. So just make sure that all that stuff is taken care of. If they have a property, make sure that there is a quitclaim deed signed so that, you're not obligated or responsible and you're not on that at all whatsoever anymore. Again, unless it's something that's in your judgment of divorce that says otherwise. And you're also going to want to take a look at your credit report too, again, to make sure that during the divorce action there has been no loans taken out or credit cards open in your name that you weren't aware of. So this is a really good time to look at your credit. And again, you're thinking about your new life. You're thinking about your future life. You might have to rebuild your credit after divorce. So it's a good time to take a look at that. So take a look at it and make sure that there's no surprises. And there's nothing that you have to deal with as far as any, accounts that you weren't aware of and anything on your credit that you didn't know about. Now, the last thing you want to think about, and something that people often forget, is review your estate plan. If you have a will already, you might want to review your beneficiaries. If you're getting divorced, obviously you're probably not going to want to leave things to your ex-spouse. You might have different obligations with their children. So this is something that you want to review. If you don't have an estate plan, this might be a good time to kind of get set up on the right path and get one set up for you. Check out your life insurance policy. Again, depending on your judgment, if it requires you to have a policy, for child support purposes or for any other reason, make sure that that's in place. If it does not, and you have a life insurance policy and you need to change the beneficiary, make sure that you're doing that. And while thinking of that, just think about, again, your emergency contact with work, or any other situation where you need to give somebody a name. Would that still be your ex-spouse, or would that be someone else that you would want your job to contact in an emergency? So again, now is the time to update things like that. So taking care of these things right away, as soon as you get the judgment of divorce, is the best way to ensure that you have a smooth transition and you don't have any problems down the line. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to leave a question in the comment, or you can always reach me at JolenaLewisLaw.com. Shoot me an email, shoot me a message, and I'll definitely answer any questions you have as much as I can. And if you want to make an appointment, go to JolenaLewisLaw.com and I can talk to you about how I can help you with your New York divorce. Thanks for watching.